Welcome to All About St. Paul, where we feature videos about city services, programs, entertainment, and more.
He's Nick Nelson from the city's video production team.
And she's Liz Wagner from St. Paul Parks and Recreation.
Coming up on this week's show.
St. Paul kicks off the holiday season, and we'll have some holiday traditions for your family.
Learn how unwanted lands are put to good use.
The city has chosen its next mayor.
We'll have all of those stories and a lot more on All About St. Paul.
Well, we are coming to you today from Wells Fargo Winter Skate. Right over there is Rice Park with all the lights and its iconic holiday tree.
That tree and all of the other lights in Rice Park were officially turned on during the season's annual holiday kickoff. Hundreds gathered to see the 60-foot tree and all the other trees in Rice Park come alive with dazzling lights. Winter Carnival royalty and of course the Vulcans were on hand to unveil the 2018 Winter Carnival buttons, including a special Super Bowl themed button. And then the Wells Fargo Winter Skate refrigerated skating rink was officially opened for the 2017-2018 season. Let's go to Nick, who's found someone who can tell us more about this fabulous rink.
Well, I'm here with Jamie Hendrickson with Visit St. Paul. She's going to tell you everything you need to know about this fabulous skating rink. But first, Jamie, tell us a little bit about who Visit St. Paul is and what you guys do.
Sure, thanks Nick. Visit St. Paul is the city's official tourism agency, and our work is focused on promoting the city with the goal of bringing people here. So visitors, conventions, big events. And our goal is to create economic growth for the community.
And one of those things that you promote is this awesome skating rink. What do folks need to know to take advantage of that?
Definitely. So each year, Visit St. Paul Foundation, in partnership with the City of St. Paul and a lot of generous sponsors, produces the Wells Fargo Winter Skate Rink. It's just an incredible opportunity for people to come right to the heart of downtown St. Paul, and it's an awesome backdrop. I mean, we're surrounded by the historic landmark center, cultural institutions like the Ordway, the George Latimer Library, and the James J. Hill Center, and the classic St. Paul Hotel. Also, we're right next to Rice Park, and the park doesn't get any more beautiful than in the winter. We light all the trees, and at the center of it is a 60-foot pine tree, which this year was donated by the Gilman family in St. Paul. And we light that up each year as part of Rice Park, powered by Xcel Energy.
So how do folks come and skate on here? Do they need to bring their own skates?
Good question. So we are here 7 days a week through February 11th. We close only on Christmas Day and New Year's Day, but otherwise you can bring your own skates down and skate for free. Or we do have skates available for rent. They're $4 each. If you have a Wells Fargo card, you can present your card, and for each time you present that, you get a free skate rental. Also this year, we are collecting new and gently used ice skates, and if you donate a pair of skates, you get free skate rental for the entire season.
So is it always this general skating, or are there other things that happen
Sure.
here as well?
So we have open skate every day, and then weekday evenings we host things like youth hockey practice, corporate broomball, and other special events. Also this year we have 6 Saturdays where we are offering free learn to skate lessons. So you can come out on Saturday morning, we'll have ice skating instructors out here, and you can get your free lesson. Also before that, we will be having some days where we do like a toddler hour. So you can bring your little ones out, they can get out and test the rink and kind of get their first experience there. Our website, visitstpaul.com/winterskate, has all of the info.
Well, this whole area is a magic place to be this time of year. What are some of the other happenings around here?
Yeah, so in addition to all the great places to eat and drink nearby, we are surrounded by some of St. Paul's most iconic locations that have great things going on all season. The St. Paul Hotel is always a great place to visit for dinner and drinks, and December 7th through the 24th, they host their traditional performance of the classic 1946 film, It's a Wonderful Life, and they do it live in the style of old-time radio theater. Over at the Ordway, the musical Annie will be their holiday show going on from December 7th through the 31st. And then right next door to us at the beautiful Landmark Center, they always have music, dance, and other events going on. And then across Rice Park, the flagship library, George Latimer Central Branch, has live music, performance, story times. And then of course, in St. Paul, we're all looking forward to the St. Paul Winter Carnival.
Well, that all sounds like a lot of fun. Check out all those websites or just come on downtown and explore.
You know the malls can be a real zoo this time of year. So Garden Safari Gifts at Como Park Zoo and Conservatory makes your holiday shopping easy and convenient with a wonderful selection of unique and interesting gifts for every person on your holiday list, including the hard to shop for. Beyond the variety of items, Como also offers the gifts that keep on giving throughout the year, including animal sponsorships and memberships. A percentage of all proceeds support programs and enhancements at the Como Zoo and the Marjorie McNeely Conservatory. Garden Safari Gifts is located in the Visitor Center at Como Park Zoo and Conservatory.
Earlier, we mentioned that holiday kickoff in Rice Park. Attending that event was St. Paul's next mayor.
Melvin Carter III will take over for Mayor Chris Coleman in January in time for the 2018 St. Paul Winter Carnival and St. Paul's Super Bowl related events. Carter was elected November 7th with 51% of the vote, avoiding a recount in the city's ranked choice voting system. We'll have lots more on Melvin Carter as we sit down with our next mayor to hear his vision for St. Paul.
Mayor Coleman has been leading the capital city for 12 years. We'll have more on his legacy in a future show as well.
Part of Mayor Coleman's legacy was the redevelopment of several brownfield sites.
And what is a brownfield? Let's find out.
St. Paul has a proud history of industry, but factories, mills, commercial buildings, and even your neighborhood gas station or dry cleaner don't last forever. When they're shuttered or closed down, they often leave behind a brownfield. A brownfield refers to land that has been contaminated by a hazardous substance or pollutant. Many sites became brownfields because early environmental regulations were different than they are today. It takes a lot of work to clean up a brownfield and find a new use that community can be proud of. The City of St. Paul is committed to giving brownfields new life.
In a built city like the City of St. Paul, the real opportunity lies in brownfields.
St. Paul has recently experienced a surge of redevelopment projects that have increased the livability and vibrancy of our community. Projects like the Upper Landing, West Side Flats, and the former Schmidt Brewery have and will continue to add new residential units in our city to meet the increasing demand. Baldinger Bakery and the Mississippi Market have added places for new jobs, and CHS Field and Bruce Vento Nature Sanctuary have provided new entertainment and recreation options for residents and visitors alike. These sites have another thing in common. Each was developed on a former brownfield.
Cities that consider brownfield redevelopment can see a rejuvenation of their community. They can see benefits in revitalizing old, underutilized spaces, for example, bringing new businesses to that area, and they've seen across the Twin Cities, for example, and all across Minnesota, significant increases in their tax base.
The redevelopment of these properties requires careful cleanup efforts guided by local governments, state and federal agencies, nonprofit advocates, and St. Paul's citizens. Brownfield redevelopments typically start at the city level, but the work requires close coordination among a variety of partners. Once a property owner decides they want to develop an existing brownfield, they work with the City of St. Paul to ensure the redevelopment plans match the city's long-range plans. The city also helps facilitate the cleanup process. The property owner also works with state and federal environmental organizations to conduct environmental site assessments to identify contaminants and evaluate environmental risks. These tests often include a review of records, site inspection, interviews, and taking soil and water samples. Once contaminants are confirmed, the cleanup can take place with the help of Minnesota Pollution Control Agency and other agencies. The state agency monitors environmental quality and enforces regulations. The agency oversees the cleanup of brownfields to ensure regulations are being met.
Brownfield redevelopment is exciting work for our agency because we know that we're making a direct impact on communities and we're protecting people's health and stabilizing environmental quality.
Grants from the Environmental Protection Agency, Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development, Metropolitan Council, and Ramsey County help offset the cost of contaminated land cleanup and reuse. The St. Paul Port Authority is a recognized leader in brownfield reclamation and often works closely with the City of St. Paul to turn contaminated properties into redevelopment opportunities. Minnesota Brownfields is a nonprofit partner that provides education and research in the brownfield redevelopment field.
Anytime you can take a property that is environmentally degraded or blighted or abandoned and to be able to transform it into anything from a nature sanctuary to housing on a transit line to the opportunity to create jobs. It helps improve the neighborhood and the community as a whole.
As the city grows, there will be many more opportunities for St. Paul to continue to revitalize underused, contaminated land. Right now, the Ford site along the Mississippi River is being cleaned up to a level that supports a mix of uses on the site. The former home of Ford's Twin Cities assembly plant is planned to become a connected, livable, mixed-use neighborhood woven into the existing community. A former industrial site along the Mississippi River near the West Side Flats in St. Paul is being transformed into a beautiful greenway that will also serve as a stormwater management system. And the brownfield along I-94 will soon become home to Allianz Field, a state-of-the-art soccer stadium for Minnesota United FC. Projects and opportunities like these will help existing brownfields become neighborhoods, businesses, green space, and landmarks that create a more dynamic community.
Making investments in a way that the existing community can benefit and new communities that are coming in can be a part of that investment for years to come. If we are being creative about how we make that investment and making sure that we are connecting to, be it housing or business opportunities, we can really change the face of communities in St. Paul and throughout the state of Minnesota.
Getting back to the holidays again, and why not? We've got a few ideas that could become one of your family's next traditions.
Well, kids and model trains go with Christmas like mistletoe and eggnog, and I have an amazing place to show you. All aboard for one of Minnesota's most unique destinations. Well, you don't have to be a kid to love model trains. But if you make a stop at this most magical of St. Paul places, you'll feel like a kid all over again. Located on Transfer Road, just north of University Avenue in St. Paul's Midway neighborhood, the Twin City Model Railroad Museum has been delighting visitors young and old for over 75 years. The museum is a nonprofit organization with the goal of entertainment and education, preserving Minnesota Railroad history of the 1930s, 40s, and 50s. Whether or not you're a model train hobbyist, the Twin City Model Railroad Museum is just one of those must-see local gems. Here to tell us a bit more about it is Paul Gritzman, a member of the museum's board of directors and one of the engineers here on the railroad. First of all, Paul, who built all this and how did it get here?
Well, this is primarily all built by volunteer labor and been at it for 30 years.
Where did all the buildings and the trains come from?
Well, a lot of the trains are built by individual members. It's part of their hobby is to redo the research and reproduce things as accurate as possible. And the same thing would be true for the buildings. We had a team of building people, and they'd get the drawings, take pictures, and sit down and scale them out so that they could all be put into the layout.
So behind all of this at the museum is a Model Railroad Club. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, they started out in 1935, and in 1939 we were invited into the St. Paul Depot, and we built a layout that was there until 1977, 78. Currently we have about 125 members, and there's every kind of job from administration to doing repairs and trying to keep the up on the latest technology. We're always trying to add something new for people to see that come back, and that's one of the nice things about having a hobby like this is you could share it with the public.
Paul, talk a little bit about your main exhibit here. I understand it's what's called O-scale, and it represents the Twin Cities.
Basically, we've tried to capture various landmarks around Minnesota and the Twin City area. O-scale primarily works with a scale of 1/4 inch equals a foot. That's kind of the Minneapolis skyline that you'll see behind me as it was during the 40s and 50s. When you come on this side of the layout, We have a lot of the landmarks from St. Paul, like the Mississippi Street Roundhouse, Midway Yard, and then all the way around on the north side of the layout, we try to capture the river bluffs as if you go down towards La Crosse along the Mississippi River with the railroad tracks and the bluffs in the backgrounds. We have real fine collections of trains that were made in the 30s and 40s and 50s. A lot of them we grew up with, and some of them we have pretty good size layouts, and some of them the kids can operate. So it shows all the automatic accessories that everybody hoped to get under the tree for Christmas.
And as a special treat through the holiday season, the museum presents night trains. The house lights are dimmed and the trains and scenery come alive in a dazzling array of glowing and twinkling lights. The event takes place on Saturday nights from around Thanksgiving to well into the new year. Check online for details. Well, every museum tour ends here in the gift shop, and they have some great things here too. But I understand that's not the only way folks can support the Twin City Model Railroad Museum. Tell us about that.
There's really three ways that we could use help. One, we're always looking for volunteers that can help out. And some people have homeless trains that are in their way and they'd like to get rid of. They could donate them to the museum and we could put them to good use or find somebody that needs them. And we are a 501c3 organization, so your donations are tax deductible.
Well, thanks for having us, Paul. I tell you, my family has been here. My son has operated the Thomas train. We love it, and you will too.
For directions and hours, go to our website.
And we'll see you riding the rails.
Well, those are some pretty incredible train sets.
They are. Well, something completely different but just as festive is a visit to the Alexander Ramsey House.
Alexander Ramsey served as Minnesota's first governor before going on to become a U.S. Senator. While in Washington, Ramsey and his wife Anna saw the mansions out east and decided to build the same when they returned to Minnesota. That home, built in 1868 for a cost then of $41,000, is now on the National Register of Historic Places. The Minnesota Historical Society offers tours of the home that is done up this time of year in a Victorian Christmas style. Before we go, we want to give a special shout out to St. Paul Police Officer Pamela Berrigan.
Berrigan was recently promoted to commander and becomes the first Latina commander on the St. Paul Police Force. After moving to Minnesota from her homeland of Ecuador, she got a job with the St. Paul Police Department in 1991. Pam has a special connection to us here at the City Channel. For several years, she served as co-host for a show produced by and about the St. Paul Police Department. And Pam has appeared on many other videos we have done here.
Congratulations, Pam. Well, that's our show for this time.
Thanks for joining us, and as usual, you can find all the city's videos at youtube.com/stpaulgov.
See you next time.